Every problem comes with its solution, we are being told. We also have the capacity to be able to come up with solutions to those problems or to reinvent our lives in a way that works for us to the best of our abilities. And one of the things that I've been exploring lately as something that can facilitate that path of recovery or just self growth and that deeper awareness of self is mindfulness. And I've done a video in the past about what mindfulness is, but today I want to talk about why. Why is it important? And how can we use it so that we can start to benefit from those significant aspects of mindfulness? We already know at this point that mindfulness is about having that presence of self, being present in time and space and in self, and noticing your emotions, noticing your feelings, your aches and pains as happening now without trying to influence, dismiss, or cover all of those feelings and thoughts and pains up. Mindfulness is your ability to be more present in terms of concentration. We've all seen those messages that are forwarded around, whether they are puzzles or quizzes, telling us to look closer. What did you see in that picture? Initially, we look at a picture or an image and we see it for whatever our reality depicts it to be until we are told to look closer. What did you see? And then you see a horse, you see an image in the horse, you see a tail, a church, and you start to depict other shapes and images because you stood still. You focused, you concentrated your entire attention on that image, keenly discerning, exploring, searching. And that is what mindfulness means. It's an invitation to stop and quieten your mind and focus on something, generally yourself, your feelings, your emotions, and what is happening within and around you at that specific moment of time. And so every time that you go into that mindfulness space, you're going to experience your thoughts and your emotions and your feelings differently because they are current and ongoing in that moment. And the idea is to let them come to the forefront of your mind. Notice them as you focus on them, like you see the other aspects of that painting because you stopped and looked keenly, not just rushing and scamming and flying through life like we generally do. If you're driving on the motorway on full speed, you're very less likely to notice the trees and the little other things happening on that way. But if you slow down to a stop, you'll suddenly see the fruits and the trees and the stones and the cracks in that corner of the road because you stopped there and you looked closer, you paid more attention. And the beautiful thing about being more mindful, focused, present in time and space and emotion is that you not only understand yourself better, but you understand other people better because you're more present, you listen better, you observe better, you see how the expression on their face changes because you noticed where it was before. You listen keenly, so you respond with value and with intelligence. And they observe that you've given them the attention because you're not distracted and absent minded. So, mindfulness is a very significant self awareness, self understanding, and self growth tool, but it also gives you mastery and ability to develop social skills that you use in your other external relationships. When you're focused and present and concentrated on your professional spheres, your quality of work is better. Some of the mindfulness practices that are being encouraged are generally breathing and quiet spaces. When you find that time to slow down your thoughts, to slow down the noise and quieten your mind so that the things that are important to you or that are happening to you can be noticed. It gives you that space to feel you. And sometimes we feel or see injuries that we don't even know where they came from because we've gone through the rush of that day to this point where we are sitting still, and suddenly we start to feel, we start to notice, we start to see things that are on us or in us or around us that we didn't notice coming about until that moment when your mind quietens. And that's why we sometimes misunderstand triggers. We find ourselves in a certain space where we feel a certain way, and we assume that those feelings are coming from that space. And we start to interpret the emotions that come to the forefront of our mind as relevant to that space, but that's because we are practicing mindfulness at that specific time. And so the more you practice, the different times and places in which you practice will start to elevate differences in terms of feelings, emotions, connections, and just how you cope with situations. Some of the recommendations are also about using your food for mindfulness, that we eat just for the sake of it without really taking time to see what we are eating, how it feels, the colors, the vibrance of those colors. Really connect to the food. Use that meal time for your mindfulness time. Notice how the smells slap you when you finally put them into your mouth. Chew them and notice the garlic and the beef and the salt and the sourness and all those sensations. Really use that moment to let your mind explore those things. And you find that you can start to use that food not just to interpret food, interpret yourself, but also to interpret your feelings and emotions and connections, and learn more about yourself than you even thought possible. And the more you know about yourself, the more you will know how to deal with other people. Tolerance, acceptance, understanding, boundaries, putting away those who make you uncomfortable, because you now understand how to work with your own feelings, your emotions, your senses. So, here are just some of the whys and the hows that you can start to be more mindful in your life, and the value that it brings, that open concentration. When you sit and concentrate on one thing, it gives you so much more value. And that thing to begin with needs to be yourself. Concentrate on yourself at meal times. How did I sleep last night? What's the first thing that I'm doing this morning? Why am I doing that? How does it make me feel every morning when I do those things? What am I feeling at mealtime? What am I feeling as I get in the car to start driving? What am I feeling as I walk into the office? Everyone brings up their mindfulness practice. I know people who get into the car and sit there for 2 seconds and say their mindfulness prayer before they set off. Get up and sit on your bed and do your mindfulness 2 minutes. Prayer, wishful thinking, self talk before you get out. Mindfulness is such a connecting tool to self that helps you to understand your world, your emotions, your life before you can even seek to understand other people. How can we question better external relationships when we don't even connect well with self?